Okay, so now we're going to do the additional vocab support, and there are 3 different types of symmetry. We need them to match along with what's below them. This one says reflectional symmetry, and that has to do with line symmetry. So there's the spelling, line symmetry. It has 2 M's in it. Line symmetry, and no I's. They're Y's instead. Okay, so when we talk about line symmetry, another word for it is reflectional symmetry. 2 halves are mirror images, and so this one is where you'd put the line of reflection. Basically, it's going to be this one right here. The line of reflection equal the line of symmetry. Line of reflection equal the line of symmetry. Okay, so that's all about your line symmetry. Again, we had line of reflection equals the line of symmetry. Another type over here, it's talking about the angle of rotation is always 180. That has to do with point symmetry. Point symmetry. Point symmetry is when it's always 180, and it does map onto itself after a rotation. So point symmetry is on the far right. The other type of symmetry is rotation symmetry, or rotational. So we'll put rotational symmetry. And again, point symmetry is a type of rotational where it's 180. So if you actually turn the figure a certain angle, then it would match in some cases, like on a hexagon or on a square. And you'd also be able to find your degree measure by doing your formula 360 over n. The last blank is the angle of rotation. The angle of rotation is less than or equal to 180. So that's up there. The angle of rotation is less than or equal to 180. Remember, these notes are due at the end of the period. Okay, so there's your blanks for that. You have your line symmetry, rotational, and point. Those are your 3 types. This one was the angle of rotation less than or equal to 180. And then this one was your line of reflection equal your line of symmetry. Okay, now you have an example with reflectional symmetry, and they just have a heart. Rotational is when it's turned. And remember from the other part of the notes, to get the angle, you do 360 over n. In this case, it has 8 sides because, well, you can count the points. And so you do 360 divide by 8, and that's how you get 45 degrees. So if you turned it 45 degrees, which is like a half turn, then it would line up. And then we also talked about point symmetry, and then the letters related to that are like S or a Z. It would not have reflectional symmetry because it doesn't go straight down or straight across. But it does have rotational, which in this case, since it's a 180 rotation with this matching this and this one matching this, then it's called point. Okay, so now we're going to talk about more examples having to do with flags, and so this kind of overlaps a tiny bit with world geography. These are just not colored in. What type of symmetry does the flag have? Here's your Switzerland flag or Swiss flag. It would have horizontal, vertical, and the diagonal, so those would all be line symmetry. 4 types of line symmetry. Also, if you turned it to the right or left, that'd be 90-degree rotation, because you can make this line up with here, and it would all still line up. And it would also, since it has 180 symmetry also, that means it would have point symmetry. So the Switzerland flag has many types. Now for these, the Israel flag is first, and we would have horizontal, where this matches up with that, all the points match up horizontally. Think about reflecting across the x-axis, so to speak, but in this case we're just flipping in the middle of the flag. Also vertically, because if it's a 6-pointed star, this would actually line up sideways as well. So it's horizontal and vertical. Also, you can rotate this by 180 degrees. 180 rotational. So when you turn it, it would actually, still line up. And if it has 180 rotational, then automatically it has point. So that has what I call the works. It has everything. It has your horizontal, vertical, 180 rotational, and point. Any questions? Okay, then the South Africa flag has a lot less. It doesn't have vertical, but it does have horizontal. And then it doesn't have anything else. So your only answer on number 2 is horizontal. What about number 3? Would that be horizontal or vertical? Yeah, it would not reflect this way, it would reflect this way. So vertical. And then the United Kingdom flag has many, just like the Israel one does. It goes straight across this way, which was horizontal, with it matching up. And then also vertically, right down the middle, your left and right match up. Also, if you rotate it 180 like that, it would still line up. So that's 180 degree rotational. And because it's 180, then it's also point. So if it has 180 rotational, then it automatically has point. Number 5 is a little bit tricky, simply because these are 5-pointed stars. And so because of that, you're not going to have horizontal, since 5 points on the star. You are going to have vertical though, and then this would line up with this one, etc. So you would have 180 degree rotational, and if you have that, then automatically you have point. Any questions? Okay, then the last one, this is the Somalia. Since it's 5-pointed, it's not horizontal, it's just vertical. So right down the middle, vertical. Okay, so I'm going to freeze that, and now we're done with it. You can turn that in, and then I'll hand you the next assignment. Remember, your Math Excel on this is due Tuesday, but then your worksheet would be due Monday.